It's always fun to play games that are seen as really bad to see if maybe you are gonna have fun with them, and Devil's Third is one of those games. Especially when the mastermind behind classics like Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball and Ninja Gaiden made it, who totally didn't lost his touch a long time ago, right? I played it on an emulator, and while the game runs perfectly well without any FPS drops, so it's better than the Wii U version already, it may have some funky effects going on that you will see throughout the video. Those are not the game's fault. I kinda actually enjoyed those though, added some more charm to it. The story is simple. You were a terrorist, but seeing your fellow comrades also killing kids, you had enough of it and quit, getting arrested by America and put into Guantanamo Bay with a sentence of 850 years and a surprisingly fancy prison cell. They even allow you to play the drums and guitar, how cool. He lives better than 75% of Americans despite being a war criminal. Life isn't fair, is it? His old friends are trying to mess up the world again though, so now the government wants you to be on their side, since you're a mass-killing machine and the only man on Earth that could stop them. Is it really such a bad idea to nuke London? I think you're doing most people a favor with not saving it. You don't get a saying in it though, so get to work and prepare to shoot tons of bad guys. The saddest thing about the game is that at points, instead of feeling like a cool 80s shooty trashy bang bang kind of movie game, it just feels like a bad imitation of it. It feels too serious despite how campy it is, and isn't that missing the point of making a campy game? I expected Ivan to throw random one-liners that are trying to be funny at things, but he's not really talk active. Normally I hated whole Marvel writing too, but in a game like this it should be allowed. Imagine Bruce Willis not saying yippee-yay Schweinebacke in the Die Hard movies. Something would just be missing, right?
Yippee-yay, du Schweinebacke.
Or whatever he says in the original movie and not just the German dub. It feels like the game means the stuff it does. All this, oh no, that's C4 who is named after the explosive. It says on the loading screen too if you didn't get the reference. My student that I trained, what happened to her? She is supposed to be dead. And other melodramatic scenes that just make you sit there and think you were better off just skipping the cutscene. Like, you have to save some old fart scientist with a cute cat who is an alcoholic and sit down for almost 5 minutes and hear him laudum you about his super duper special metal without anything funny happening. I'm not a movie script writer, but if I saw the script I would have rewritten it in a way where Ivan just says nobody cares about this shit and just tells the grandpa to tell him where to go next and shoot some bad guys. Something like that. Not very original, but at least it makes the people quickly go bang bang again. There were only a few things in the game that were so stupid that it was quite genius and made me kinda smile with one of the examples, being that the evil mastermind has the code to abort the missiles on his body as a tattoo. Because he used the founding date of the Soviet Union and the ending date of it for the code. Same with this line.
Ruling the world seems like a pain in the ass. Ask Stalin or Hitler.
Amateurs.
I did not expect those names to be dropped when playing this game and it caught me off guard. Especially when the evil guy calls them amateurs. Bro, either one of them has killed more people than you did. You are the true amateur here. They even did it without using some weird drug that makes you able to see shortly into the future so you can avoid my attacks. And the final ultimate twist of the game that I will talk about later. Who cares about the story though if the gameplay is great? Sadly, it's not that great. Let's call it serviceable. It isn't total trash, but its components do not fit together at points. It's like building a computer without looking too deep into it. You buy a mainboard and a CPU and then you realize the mainboard fits only Intel CPUs when you bought an AMD processor. Because you thought it doesn't matter, it should fit right together. Same here, just smash guns and melee weapons together and it will fit fine, right? No, it doesn't really work like that without issues. There is no smooth transition into guns. Going from guns to melee, fine, just press one of the attack buttons. But it takes so long to get your gun back out after melee attacks that you can't smoothly string them together. And that's not just a problem for the combat, but sometimes you open a door and get ripped to pieces before you can even react, since it takes fairly long for the game to get into aiming mode and shooting mode when you press the button. Open the door, better hope the AI is playing dumb, because otherwise they will just be able to shoot you while you can't press any buttons yet. It's not me being slow, I spammed the normal shooting mode without even going into aiming mode here and it still almost killed me before I had any time to react. And the worst of it all, you die extremely quickly if you try to rush in and the levels at points are just not made for melee. You won't ever reach some enemies unless you maybe play on easy, but I played it on normal and you just go kaboom when you try to rush in. unless luck is on your side. Sometimes you will survive trying to kill 3 enemies with your katana, sometimes you will just die. It doesn't feel like you're deciding it by skill, but rather just at how bad the AI is at a certain moment. Sure, I don't expect that I can play through the whole game without using guns, but I would expect more from a game that puts its katana or other melee weapons so in front and center that it offers more to how it plays with them. There's even 2 bosses who are pretty much melee only, and those bosses are basically cheating because they can do things you can't, like countering and grabbing. Why can't I do that? There's no parry, nothing, so instead you just block and dodge like a dummy till it's your time to hit them. It's just way too basic. I don't need a super long skill tree, but it would have been nice to at least get more combos. What you get in the first minute of the game is also what you get at the end of the game, which can be great sometimes, if the moveset is already making you think this is perfect. Here, that's not the case. A simple parry or counter system would have went a long way to make melee more enjoyable. I know, nowadays people are also already getting sick of parries, but still. Since all it is just spamming 2 buttons, nothing more, nothing less. See an enemy with a shield, just spam the attack button and you will cut through it. See an enemy with a sword weapon, just spam the attack buttons and you will cut through them. See a meat mountain with a chainsaw, avoid melee contact since he basically one-shots you and shoot 5 rockets at him, and now imagine how long it can take to kill them with a katana. These beefy dudes are the game's concept of fun combat encounters, since there's almost no in-between. You either have totally normal grunt zombies, or gorillas who only show up in one level really, invisible girls with big asses, or these guys. Let's take this one as an example. You get this little path. At the top of the stairs are 2 minigun meat mountains, with a bunch of enemies behind shields and another bunch of enemies shooting RPGs and another bunch of guys that spawn in when you get close. There's a 0% chance you will survive by doing it melee, so you look around to see if you get an RPG or grenade launcher for yourself. Nope. Then you realize Ivan can't even jump over these little stairs and think, okay, do I just sit in cover like a coward and shoot? Yep, do that. Only then you are allowed to watch in and take the easy grunts and then finish off the minigun guys with grenade spam. And there's a whole bunch of these encounters where you don't feel like you did something cool, you just did what you needed to do. A stylish game should always wanna make you go for stylish stuff, not just being a coward and spamming grenades. It misses the point of it. At least when you're in cover, you can wait a little bit to see Ivan's idle animations when he smokes or drinks. Don't do drugs. Or do them if you want them. I'm not your dad. You can do what you want. But an action game like this needs at least one enemy that almost ruins the whole game for you after a while. It's like a tradition. Devil's Third has these. Ninja Gaiden Black had these cat things I really hated, and I think I would have hated them less if they went bald. I'm not a furry. And then there's Grace and Glory in Bayonetta 1 who are hated by people who don't like being skill checked and hate them that they show the player that they need to actually understand how to play the game. The difference here is, those are still fun to fight in their games even when they constantly fuck you. Here, there's no fun being had shooting tons of bullets into them, and you will do that a lot since the game at points spams you with them. You know what could have fixed that? Ivan being cool enough to deflect bullets with his katana or other melee weapons. But he can't. Rushing in always means you will be hit when there's no cover, and it makes you almost never want to take the risk. Before the final boss, there's a single room that shows perfectly well how cool the game could have been. It shows off the verticality that good level design should have here, being able to run up these walls and taking out the enemies hiding at the top with your katana. Even here you can see though that if I decide to go for that, I have nothing in my arsenal that doesn't let me almost get turned into cheese. Especially since the cover here flies away after like 2 bullets. So I just have to stay behind the wall, which feels lame. It really shines in encounters like this with climbable walls. Too bad there aren't too many of those really. The game could have ruled if Ivan's developers gave him more rooms like this and allowed him to deflect some bullets at least. Having your katana out shouldn't be a way out to never get hit again, but still, isn't that like the coolest thing a game or movie can do? Having a katana user that can hit bullets and cut them right through the middle? Using your Enbaku Gauge when it's full helps you tanking more hits, but what if it's not full? Haven't talked about that one yet, but it's the thing at the bottom right corner, and when you kill enemies it slowly fills up and you can activate it and you become stronger for a bit, and killing enemies activates the slow-mo effect so you can have an easier time aiming. I have to say though that there's tons of checkpoints, so dying doesn't feel super duper bad. You won't ever feel like you wasted your time dying really. So it at least allows you to go and try to do something crazy, and die while doing it without making you hesitant about it because the last checkpoint was 10 minutes ago. It also commits one of the worst crimes that a shooter can commit, basically a total war crime that should get the game hanged from the gallows. The shotgun has zero weight to it. No boom, no good feel when you shoot it. It feels as if you're shooting a slingshot. Same with the snipers. This always feels too silly to say because in the end you press a button just like in any other game, but other games understand how to make a weapon feel powerful. Shoot a sniper in this game and then compare to a sniper like the AWP, I say the German way, in Counter-Strike. This one is just a wet fart in comparison. It just does not make you want to use it. Same with the shotgun. Go play Fear or Trepang 2 and then come back to Devil's Third and you will think, man, it's like using a water gun. It doesn't even make a satisfying sound. The other weapons feel alright, not the best but also not the worst, except for this one with the ugliest iron sight possible. It just looks silly and dumb. No offense to anyone who likes this gun, shooting with it in real life is probably way cooler than it is here. If I ever go to America, I would like to go to a shooting range and then most likely underestimate the recoil and get a black eye when I hit myself with it. Somehow the game is also obsessed with bats. I'm not gonna deny it, bats are pretty rad little animals, but almost every level where you go through a somewhat darker corridor has them in it and it just feels so old school. What is an annoying video game enemy that we can just put here? Oh, remember how much people hate bats from Castlevania and stuff like that? Let's add them here to invoke that old feeling. It's one of the few nice things I can say about the game. Even though it feels a bit lame, you mostly have to avoid them instead of cutting them down. I don't stand for animal abuse, but if they attack me, I have the right to attack back, right? There's a score attack mode that lets you replay the levels with a score system and you get points for kill streaks, long shots, the typical stuff you would expect, and it's kinda disappointing. It's really just the normal level, but with you getting scored. Nothing changed except for masks that you can pick up. Would it have been too much to expect them to remove the downtimes? I don't want to have to skip cutscenes in a score or time attack mode, or having to wait for the NPCs to blow open a door, things like that. No extra missions, challenges, nothing. It's as basic as a mode like this gets. Most of the game plays on Brad Island, more like Bread Island with me on it, and the locations are nothing special. It's something that wouldn't feel out of place in a modern Call of Duty game, except for when the game tries to turn a bit into Resident Evil 6 with its mutant hospital. Its level design sucks since it's just a bunch of rooms, but hey, variety. The mutants also can't really shoot, so it's great because you can slice and dice through them here without having to fear being shot at. Especially since there's no ammo around, so you're basically forced to use melee attacks anyways. Almost like the devs knew themselves that it would suck having to fight against enemies who can shoot while you're not allowed to. Aside from that, there's no other location that stands really out and will be on my mind for all those years to come. I may have already forgotten about them the second I finish up this video. Except maybe also for the Red Light District, since I am a weep and it offers a decent amount of verticality in its level design, and I wish some of the other stages would have had that too. The bosses are okay-ish and are pretty damn easy, except for this dude, because like I mentioned earlier, he's one of the bosses that breaks the mechanics of the game for himself. Like sometimes your attacks don't stagger him when he's in an animation, but he can easily stagger you while you're in one. And he got a counter and also got a grab, and once you're staggered a single time and he decides to throw the knives, basically one-shot death. But you know what, I didn't mind it too much. I struggled till I learned his patterns and then I killed him. One of the few highlights of the game, even if I wish my moveset could have been as cool as his. I want to be able to do grabs and counters too. It would have enhanced the game by a lot. There's Jane Doe, who I don't even know how you're supposed to fight her normally. I don't even know if I did it the right way. Sometimes she dodges your attacks, sometimes she doesn't. Just play around the tree in the middle and she's basically useless. She got a nice butt though, gotta give credits where you can. She also sounds like me when I have a cough and me when my parents didn't buy me my favorite candy from the supermarket. I'm just kidding, I never threw a tantrum like a spoiled brat. Sometimes in life you have to accept that you can't get everything. Just like how she will never get her eyesight back. A fate worse than death in a way, at least to me.
Jane. Need darkness.
The funniest boss is the fat jetpack flying mutant who pukes on you while his zombie gorilla things run after you. When I played this, I really thought I was playing a serious Sam game instead. He doesn't even look cool in a dumb way, he just looks dumb. Before the final boss, there's the big booty invisible girl who can be cheesed just like Jane when you hide around the pillars, and she's the appetizer for the main baddie, your own mentor who killed your parents so he can raise you instead to become the ultimate killing machine. It's a one-on-one melee fight again, but you stand no chance since he is drugged up. But wait, you now unlock your true power by taking off your sunglasses to reveal you were basically blind the whole time. You didn't wear the sunglasses because they were cool or it was sunny outside. You wore them to hide the fact that you're blind. That was so dumb, it made me think, yeah, this is what the game should have been all about the whole time. Stupid nonsensical bullshit that just goes up the walls. Instead you have 99% stupid serious stuff with some outliners like this. There is no aha effect like you may have in something like Resident Evil 6. The only reason why I played through its campaigns was to do it with a friend and it didn't feel that great, but the Mercenaries mode really shows you the potential and action only Resident Evil can have. It's weird how they never turned that into a total spin-off game, so they don't have to carry all that baggage of not being a true Resident Evil experience with them. It makes me a bit sad to say, but Itagaki is probably washed. If I were a billionaire, I would give him some money and tell him to prove me wrong. Silence all the haters and see if he still got it in him to create something like Ninja Gaiden Black again. With a big booby ninja girl who is a masochist as the main character. That's my only condition. Yes, Devil's Third has suffered from development hell, but even if you gave it a whole more year, I don't think it would have been able to save itself from its flaws too much. It's not the kind of rough diamond that could turn into a beautiful diamond with some fine tuning. Instead it's like having an ugly mom and she wants to still kiss you on the mouth even though you're already 34 years old. You just want it to stop. If you are in the mood for a third-person shooter that mixes guns and swords fairly well, just check out Wanted Dead. It goes on sale for like $3 on Steam most of the time and you can sing 99 Luftballons with Quiet for Metal Gear Solid 5 in there. Just for that minigame alone it's worth it, trust me, if you want to sing German. So the choice is yours. Play this for $300 or for free since nobody is losing any money on this if you emulate it, or an actual fun Flawed game for $3. Not saying that Wanted Dead is some kind of forgotten masterpiece, but it's worth it. For $3, you know, $3. I could imagine that the multiplayer for it was probably pretty fun for a while. And it eventually even got a rebranded free-to-play, where apparently it was really grindy, but what else would you expect? Standalone release on PC called Rockshot, which was even maintained by the developers that later on then made Wanted Dead. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. I will now go sit in my corner and be sad about how there's really not that many developers left anymore who even try to create a game like this. Imagine if Itagaki came back and announced a Souls-like. I think something inside of me would break. I also loved how Devil's Third has some sequel bait in its credits. So maybe one day we will see Devil's Fourth. Bye bye.